So welcome back to the FKB Physio podcast. My name is Frances Brown. I'm a physiotherapist in Brisbane and this is the 9th episode of my podcast. So in this one, I interview a strength coach that I work with at Below Parallel. Her name is Kat Juergens. And we basically talked about how important we think it is for women to be lifting weights and our joint mission, I suppose, to show as many women as possible what they can achieve both mentally and physically from taking up this sport, if you want to call it that. So there was a giant fan in the background when I recorded this that I didn't think the mic would pick up, but it did. So apologies for that. I hope you enjoyed the listen. Welcome back to FKB Physio podcast. In this podcast episode, I actually have a guest with me. It's Kat Juergens.
Yes, it is.
Kat works with me at Below Parallel and she is a strength coach. She is primarily specialising in working with women who want to get stronger and lift weights. Is that right?
Yes.
Awesome. So I guess me and Kat have realised that we have a common goal and that we want to get women lifting weights more often. And I suppose as a physio and as a strength coach, we encounter different sorts of barriers. So today we're going to talk about what those barriers are and how we might address some of them. So I obviously talk a lot in my podcast and on my socials about how I think women should lift weights, and I guess I come at it from the perspective of the World Health Organization's recommended exercise guidelines state that you should do 2 days of resistance-based training a week. So I suppose as a health professional, that's where I come at it from. As a strength coach, personal trainer, which is it?
It's a bit of a blurred line.
Yeah.
I like to think that I've evolved from just being a PT. I've specialised in barbell training and strength training primarily. I'm not that typical PT that makes you just sweat for the sake of sweating and feel puffy and you go home and you can get that from F45 or any class out there. Like if you just want to sweat and if you just want to move, go for paddling.
Yeah.
If you want to have some purpose with your training and progress and actually see some results, then you see a strength coach.
Yeah. So why do you want women to lift weights?
I suppose it's really personal for myself, right? I made it a personal thing for myself because I've gone through the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I used to be really overweight. As a 21-year-old, I was about 105 kilos heavy.
Okay.
The biggest memory I have is in uni, I walked up the stairs and that was a massive struggle.
Oh.
So I was huffing and puffing left, right, and centre and just felt awful about myself at the same time. I was like, oh, it's not that bad.
Okay, yeah.
Looking back, it was that bad.
Okay.
So a friend of mine who I lived with during uni time, she introduced me to the gym. And I always was so obsessed with the shape of her legs.
Oh, really? Okay.
She was conditioned through ballet.
Yeah.
And I had this illusion that if I did the exact same thing that she did in the gym, then I would have those legs too, right?
Yeah.
So my initial goal was really superficial and vain. I wanted a thigh gap.
Oh, no.
Not even a six-pack, but I wanted a thigh gap.
Yeah.
Fast forward about 5 years, I had starved myself down to 55 kilos.
God, yeah.
So I had moved to Australia then as well.
Okay.
And again, long story short, I couldn't find work.
Okay.
So my partner helped me set myself up as a PT and helped me through the AAF.
Yeah.
And that was when I developed an ego.
Okay, funny.
And I thought I was the biggest shit.
Okay.
Because I knew how to lose weight and I could help other people, right?
Right.
So that was the primarily goal. Like, I want to help people feel good about themselves the way I felt good about myself back then, which I retrospectively know wasn't. That was disordered eating.
Yeah.
Really restrictive, counting all the calories.
Yeah.
Moving for the sake of burning off the foods.
Yeah.
And since then, I gone through the whole. I ran a few Spartan races.
Oh yeah.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
But you really quickly notice it's not just the cardio you need. You also need some strength because otherwise you can't pull your own body weight.
Yeah.
Up a rope or through an obstacle that's muddy and wet.
And
so that's how I got introduced into the whole resistance training side of things, and that's when I got my first PT.
Oh yeah.
he was a colleague of mine, and he helped me understand where my limits are and like take the next step from there and push those limits.
Yeah.
And I mentally grew.
Yeah.
And I grew this resilience, and I grew to love the struggle of lifting weights. So he showed me deadlifts, he showed me how to squat, and he showed me how to bench press. I was awful at it and I hated it, but I still did it because he told me to.
Yeah.
And then the ways parted, and I started CrossFit.
Oh.
I did that too.
I didn't know these things. Yeah.
Yeah, that lasted for about half a year because I guess my philosophy as a coach sort of collided with the philosophy of that particular CrossFit box. And then I found Below Parallel about 4.5 years ago.
Awesome.
Signed up as a member, got shown how to low bar squat. And I thought, at that point, I thought I was the smartest guy in the room, right? I thought I knew what I was doing, and then the people here showed me low bar squats.
I so get it. Yeah, I so get it. It's so funny.
And all of a sudden I was like, oh my god, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
And that's when the transition really started, because all of a sudden all this made sense.
Yeah.
So shifting a mindset of you gotta exercise to work off the food that you had during your day or during your week or whatever. And stepping away from shaming yourself for wanting certain foods, cheat days.
Yeah.
Good, bad.
Yeah.
I hate all that terminology.
Yeah, me too. Hate it so much.
It developed this sense of self-accomplishment, the huge amount of growth that I underwent, and the amount of confidence it gave myself in myself.
Yeah.
Not tying my self-worth to like aesthetic goals anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I need a thigh gap. I need abs.
Yeah.
That went completely out the window. And now I'm proud of myself when I pull that heavy weight.
Yeah.
I'm proud of what my body can accomplish. Strength training gives me independence. And not just physically. It's given me independence and resilience. I think strength training has pushed that limit in terms of it expanded that threshold. What I used to think was stressful baseline and exceptionally stressful moments I can deal with much easier. And I think 60-70%, that's the weight downstairs. It's so important for self-growth.
Yeah. And that's so interesting, like so much of the stuff you said resonates there with me. I didn't ever have the thigh gap goal, but I definitely had the six-pack goal.
Yeah.
I was trying to achieve it through cardio and stuff. I wasn't really into lifting weights. I found that with body composition goals, it's really hard because if you do a workout, you don't know if it's going to change your body composition, and it might not change it for months. And so if that's why you're doing it, you're not going to get a sense of achievement straight after the workout because you don't know if it will change it or not.
That's right.
And then it's also very easy to just not do it because you think, oh, well, it probably doesn't matter either way. And so if you're struggling to stick to an exercise goal, it's very difficult if your measure of progress is aesthetic. So I think I took up running actually because I liked being able to measure how far I could go and how fast. But I guess over time I realized there were these people with very little frames and little bodies who would run and go very fast and get in a runner's high zone. And I was thinking, I never feel that. But then I also noticed that those same people would say, oh, I wish I could do a push-up on my toes. I've never had to try and do a push-up on my toes. I could just do one. Yeah. And so I guess I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do strength training instead because maybe I'm naturally more inclined towards it. And then that was it. That was it for me. You feel so cool that you can do this really hard thing. Like you lift this super heavy weight and it definitely builds that sense of body resilience because I even find when I went snowboarding or something and I'd fall over, I just was like, now that my body's so tough because I do these hard things, I'm going to be fine. Okay. And I love that feeling. And I guess too, you know, lots of the time when you train, you get a pain will come for whatever reason and you are fine. And I think that's really helpful too. That resilience that comes from it, I think that really resonate with me. And I suppose as well now, I want to get better at lifting. And so that's the goal. And so it's like, well, if I don't eat enough, my performance will be affected.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to eat.
Exactly.
And then even, you know, when I teach extra body attack classes, I'm like, well, I won't be able to recover. So this week I'm teaching 3. So I'm like, well, I basically know my recovery is going to be ruined this week. So don't expect any good performance in the gym. I'm very careful about how much cardio I do because I know it will affect my lifting.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of people in group fitness space do so much cardio, and I think you have to experience being able to do something epic lifting in the gym and then do a cardio class and then try and do it again and realize that you can't, and then realize how much better you feel if you've actually just had a day off and only gone on a walk or something. So I found that for me over the years, it's sort of done this full thing of like strength training is the thing I care about the most. I know that this doesn't actually motivate lots of people, but for me, the fact that it's so good for you, that is motivation for me, because I think, well, this is non-negotiable. I don't want to miss it.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So we have similar experience there.
Yeah.
So what have you found are some barriers to women lifting weights?
I guess there's a ton of misinformation and a ton of misconception out there. I suppose you sort of scratched on the, in terms of like dangerous.
Oh yeah.
So strength training is still considered dangerous, particularly for women. Like, it's become more popular, and I think we have to give CrossFit a big kudos for that. It's made barbell training really popular for women, and even that physique. I think since that has come out with the big CrossFit Games and that sort of stuff, and the dot years showcasing strong female bodies, and then Tia, Claire Toomey, showcasing even further that she won 5 times in a row.
So cool.
Yeah. But it's still considered dangerous, because I think what the problem and where the problem lies is that a lot of trainers stumble out of the institutes out there and attempt to train clients in concepts they don't understand.
Interesting.
Or not fully understand.
Yeah.
Like the execution of a deadlift.
Interesting.
You need to really know why the deadlift is set up the way we set it up.
Yeah.
So I've been presented with a ton of people who, over the years, explained to me I can't deadlift because of my back.
Yeah.
So I'm like, cool, would you allow me to still show you how I would set it up? And then we do deadlifts and they're fine.
Yeah.
Or the whole, my health professionals or my friends or my other PTs said I can't squat because of several reasons, and then I get them in front of me and I'm like, you squat just fine. We just need to find the right variation for you. I guess a lot of the times textbook just doesn't, it's just one size fits all, and it just doesn't allow that with human beings. So that's where this distrust comes or stems from.
That's interesting.
It's like, and unfortunately that's really common in like the PT level of the fitness industry.
Yeah. Okay.
Then also you have all these different philosophies like functional fitness. Yeah. Which I just take as squat, bench, deadlift, and press. Like that's functional to me.
Yeah, me too.
But someone else, functional means balancing on a Bosu ball on one leg while tugging on a rope while doing one arm overhead press anti-rotation and breathe every third rep or something. So that blows my mind. Like, why does it have to be that complicated? I believe that the stuff that we do in here should support what you do outside.
Definitely.
Like, you sit down on a couch or a toilet.
Yes.
You pick up your kid.
Yeah, exactly.
You reach overhead to get the box out from the shelves at the top.
Exactly.
All these things aren't complicated.
Yeah.
And I don't care.
No, I totally agree with you.
The big word salads that they structure around it just to make the consumer in you feel like, I'm dumb and I need that person.
Yeah, I agree.
So
my sort of argument is that, like, I actually just think lifting weights or exercise in a gym is relatively safe as just a general concept, because it's not like sport, like where someone's running at you. Like, you're in control, it's in this controlled environment, there's good lighting. Like, even if PTs maybe some of them aren't super well trained, or I know people often like make fun of group fitness and stuff, I still think, well, this is still relatively low risk though. The one thing I think people can kind of, I know with deadlifts, I reckon people can YOLO deadlift really easily, because there's not that, technically, you can just pick it up off the ground. It's not like deadlifts are inherently risky. It's that lifting 200 kilos off the ground when you haven't lifted before, you know, like that's a risk.
That's another one. So people are also extremely bad at judging their own bodies.
Yes.
Either they are too scared to attempt the heavy weights.
Yeah.
And that's really common in females.
So
I don't
common.
want to hurt myself, so I use those 2 kilo dumbbells. When at work, you swing around folders and boxes that are 12, 20 kilos heavy.
Yeah.
But in the gym, you're going to hurt yourself with 2 kilo dumbbells. I doubt that very much.
Yeah.
The whole, she can do it, I can do it. So they step up to a weight they've never moved before.
Yeah.
Probably something's going to give.
Yeah.
And it's not the barbell. It's never the barbell.
And it's not the deadlift's fault. Like, I think...
Nah, never.
But those are the people that are often like, oh, they're so bad for your back, it's not worth it. And I'm like, yeah, but if you do it progressively, it's fine.
Yeah, you have to just... I uploaded content the other day where I explained that strength training is, in the grand scheme of things, like you said, extremely safe. Actually. I believe it's extremely safe because we control it.
Yes.
We control a set of 5.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not 45 minutes running back and forth on the field with close contact and changing direction. We can control the weight. I don't know why you and I, who are in the same age group, think about the future in terms of like, I don't want to be that person that one day is going to slip in the bathroom, crack a hip, and can't help herself. Yeah. I don't know why we think that way, whereas a lot of our 30-odd-year-old friends go to the gym to still look good.
Well, I honestly think, so this is like a huge difference I noticed between working with allied health professionals versus working with like PTs and strength coaches. So people work in allied health, I think because in your training you have to go into the hospital and work in geriatric rehab units. I think when you work in a gym, you might not have seen people in their 80s having just had a fall and recovering from a hip replacement, unless it's in your family. I feel like in allied health there is a bit more focus on the future, but I definitely think everyone should be focusing on the future. Because we might live to wear 100 maybe. A lot of my ladies in their 60s who started lifting weights now because they got diagnosed with osteoporosis and their doctor told them to, which has like been great for me to get to do that with them. So many of them are like, I wish I'd started when I was your age. And I think their generation, they were basically told women shouldn't lift weights and shouldn't be doing hard things, and especially if they've given birth. Just sort of as if they were fragile, which I think is so funny. I'm like, we give birth. Come on, like we actually push our human out. Can you please stop telling us that our bodies are the fragile ones? Like we give birth. But there's the aesthetics thing too. And like with my ladies in their 60s, they come and so many of them say, I don't want to put on muscle. And I'm like, you are 65 and you're going to be doing 2 days of strength training a week. You're not going to. It's fine. But also some of them are so little and I think, it really wouldn't be bad if you did. But I can't believe that they're still worried about that at that age.
I know. I know what you mean.
Yes, I've noticed from your social media posts that must be a barrier you encounter often, that people don't want to get bulky.
Oh, I hear that. That's probably the biggest one that I hear when signing up women and introducing them to the strength training side of things. I don't know if it's because of me. I don't consider myself massive, but I do have a body that puts on muscle really
I thought this about myself too. Go
on.
I
don't know if that's...
I know, they're saying it to your face, like, I don't want to get bulky. And I have also thought, like, do you think I am?
Well, look, I may have a little bit more muscle mass, and whenever I go to a DEXA scan and I see my muscle mass, I'm just like...
it's so good. More. It's the best. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's this whole...
It's hard to put it on, right, though?
It's super
for most
hard.
people.
Oh my God. I think we're still stuck in this whole, I want to be little, so I eat less.
I know.
So, therefore, I can't do things that have even the slightest possibility of making me bigger.
But I think that, don't you think, because I've often thought that, like, okay, if you're a certain body weight and you're eating a certain amount of food and you add strength training, your body will change, but you won't necessarily get bigger. Not that it matters, but I'm going to challenge that too. But like, let's say, just theoretically, wouldn't it be likely that your body you'll get more muscle, but it will change, like you maybe lose less fat or whatever.
Absolutely.
So because I've just noticed a lot of people when they start the gym, their body does change, but they say to me, it's changed and I might be heavy, but they're not physically larger. Not that I think you should care if you're physically larger, but I think it doesn't happen as much as people think, depending on your genetics, because mine changed
There's
massively.
always that little bit of genetic predisposition, but
I think that most of your clients, you have to train extremely hard to gain muscle mass. So like, if you're getting clients who are going to come a couple of times a week, and lift weights, it's not going to be drastic, right? Not that it matters.
No, it's going to be real slow. It's extremely hard to gain muscle.
It is really hard.
In the beginning, it might be really quick because you're an untrained individual. You
Yeah.
apply a stimulus that
Yeah.
hasn't been applied before, so your body will react to it. It's
Yeah.
like you walk in with soft hands. I call them office hands.
Oh, yeah.
because people are like, my hands.
Yeah.
And then 12 weeks later, you have calluses.
Yeah.
It doesn't even take that long.
No.
Your body
Yeah.
recognizes weakness, so it will toughen up
So
in
good.
that sport.
The best.
I know, right? It will toughen up and provide a particular spot with whatever, more skin,
Yeah.
more muscle mass, more
Yeah.
bone density,
Yeah. So good.
more mindset resilience.
Yeah.
Like, all these adaptations happen and they're necessary, but if you never even touch on those limits, then
Yeah.
you're also not going to adapt that way.
The thing is, so like, I'm going to challenge the whole idea in that, like, so someone like you and me, so I often read those posts on social media that are like, oh, don't worry, you won't bulk up. And I think, okay, some of us will though, because
Yeah.
I did, I'm fine with it, but like some of us did. So I did, over the years of strength training, I gained about 10 kilos.
Yep.
I am completely fine with it because, I mean, I'm obviously larger, but it doesn't look bad because muscle
you
looks
didn't turn into a man.
good. No, I didn't
think
turn
that's
into a
what
man.
people also think. Like,
And
oh
like,
my God.
the thing is, I could genetically am likely to. I put on muscle super easily. I also eat heaps, and I also train quite hard. And so it's like I'm trying as much as possible, and I did gain weight,
Yeah.
but it stopped after about a few years in. So like in the past 4 years, I'd say, despite training super heavy and progressively heavier, I haven't gained any more. So it's like, okay, some of us will get bulky because a lot of the posts on social media imply, don't worry, you won't get bulky. But I don't like that because it's still saying we need to try to be small. So I'm just challenging the whole
Well,
idea,
actually,
like,
yeah.
yeah, we might get bulky, and what's wrong with being bulky? Like, why can't women be
Yeah, but bulky
larger?
is also
It's
not
a
the
not
right
nice
word,
word,
though.
but like, yeah, why can't women be bigger individuals? Why can't we be heavier? Why can't we take up more space?
Yeah.
So like, I know that a lot of people won't agree with that, but that's what I think. And there used to be those posts that are like, find a woman that can do both, and it would have a woman in her gym clothes looking all hectic, and then it would have a woman in a dress, and she looked like feminine. And those posts are still kind of saying, don't worry, even if you lift weights, you can still be feminine, and like, that's fine. But I just think, but what if you don't want to be feminine? We don't have to be feminine.
No, I think that's a really, really important point because in the end, like, why do we care in the first place?
Yeah, who
Because
cares?
Society
It's just a
tells
society-
us to
yeah.
care. And that really blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's go back to our biological initial self. Why do we want to look good? To find a mate.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that's
No, it must be. It must
self-growth
be.
and self-love hashtag. Like, I'm all for that, and do it for yourself because I'm in a gym for myself. I give a shit.
Yeah.
I have a athletic type of body shape.
Yeah.
Like, I've always had a big butt. I've always had big thighs,
Yeah.
and I love them.
Yeah, of course.
But it took me ages to
Yeah.
come to the conclusion that I love them.
Yeah.
And squats and deadlifts showed me that I can love them.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
so
it
good,
can
hey?
do incredible things.
Yeah.
You can squat 120 kilos on
Yeah.
a good day.
I'm jealous.
But it's something that you have to
Oh.
switch off this whole like, but society tells me I have to fit into an 8.
Oh yeah.
Like, is that going to make you a better human
Oh my
being?
god. And it's bad for us. That's what makes me so mad. I'm like, how dare you say that we have to be small, because it is bad for us.
So when we
I
talk
think.
bad though, that's again so very broad. Let's just like bring it back to bodies. Like, being small is
Yeah, I'm not saying that
Usually-
being small is bad if you happen
No,
to be
no,
a
no,
small
no.
person. But
No.
trying to,
But-
all girls think
but
so. Yeah.
but wanting to be small and skinny
I know.
and low body fat, like, your period stops
Oh.
being either coming in completely or being super irregular. Depression, anxiety.
Yeah.
And we all to some degree struggle with that probably already,
Yeah.
but these things make it even worse. Low immune strength.
Yeah.
Like, if you're sick constantly or injured constantly,
Yeah.
you gotta look at your your sleep recovery protocol
Yeah.
and your eating.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing to yourself? Why
Yeah.
do you put yourself through all this shit just to be liked by other people? But we do that to ourselves mentally,
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Why is size 8 and 10 better than size 12 and 14?
I know, yeah.
I believe that downstairs,
Yes.
barbells is at least part of the answer to a healthier mindset,
For
a
sure.
healthier body picture and body image, a much nicer person, because you also can't cheat yourself.
Yeah.
That barbell downstairs is going to be 20 kilos.
Yeah.
Whether you feel good or bad that day, it doesn't take your feelings in consideration.
Yeah, yeah.
The weight is going to be the weight
Yeah.
that it will be.
Yeah.
Because of physics. 60 kilos is 60 kilos, whether you feel this is just or unjust.
Yeah.
So you learn really quickly to just humbled by the fact that you either can lift it
Yes.
or not.
I do think powerlifting gyms are a really good place for women. You'd probably be surprised to hear that, but because there's no mirrors, and then there's all these
Love
people
that
in
fact.
there, who want to lift heavy. And to be honest, if you go to a powerlifting comp, you don't really see many sort of super inverted commas aesthetic, like stereotype of aesthetic bodies there, because they're all people that are trying to lift max weight. And so there's all different types of bodies. There are little bodies, but there's sort of very big bodies as well. And so I think that's part of why I like powerlifting. I'm going to cycle back to the injury risk thing, because I wanted to actually say the stats, even though I've said them so many times before. But the way they measure injury risk statistics in like sports medicine world is they do injuries per 1,000 hours of training.
Yep.
And so for weightlifting and powerlifting, and so the stats they use for actual people that compete in those sports, I'm pretty sure. I'll put the paper, it's an AASA, however you say that last name. That person did the paper in 2016, I think. So it's 2.2 to 4.4 injuries per 1,000 hours, which is one of the lowest. So even running and swimming were higher. Obviously netball, rugby, those ones were much higher. I think one elite rugby players was something like 90. So, and for me, for my history, mine's about on track with that. I have hurt my back 2 times and I've had a shoulder pain, and I've been lifting for about 7 years. And if you add up how many hours, it's probably 8 hours a week. So I think I did the maths before. It was like in the thousands of hours and I've had about 3 injuries. It was about right. So it's actually really small. And that's me pushing it to the absolute limit. Like I'm powerlifting, like I'm trying to do a 1 rep max effort. If you just lift weights, but you're never trying to do a 1 rep max, I would say those stats are even less. Something I notice as a physio is that the injuries people get in the gym are the exact same injuries they get not in the gym. Like I get patients who've bent over to pick up something off the floor and they've hurt their back. The exact same extent as when I hurt my back deadlifting. Yeah. So you get the exact same injuries, shoulder, rotator cuff stuff. Some people get it reaching behind them in the car. You might get it from bench press. Like they're the same injuries, but people who lift get better much quicker because they're sort of familiar with a bit of pain and their body's conditioned. And so like when you have conditioned tissues, they tend to sort of recover a bit more quickly. So the injury risk thing is hugely overblown. Like it's just not
people are just
true.
Generally afraid because it's not pretty, is it?
No,
like,
they're picturing. Don't picture that.
Well, a 1 RM deadlift, like, the brace is gonna push all the blood into your face, so you turn like a tomato, and then all your veins are popping because all of a sudden you're.
But that is not everyone has to do that.
No, but look, if you push your limits, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
Like if you slow down a video of somebody shot putting or somebody doing it, like tennis is going on at the moment. So if you take a photo in that instance where they smack that ball as hard as they possibly
of course.
can.
And
Look at their face.
Stuff.
It ain't going to be pretty.
No.
So
it's a weird stigma. I just think it's so funny how people view something like netball is very innocuous and fine, but weightlifting is like this terrible thing. It's weird.
I agree with you because no one stops, not no one, this is generalizing now, but less percentage of people stop a sport as soon as they hurt themselves. They're just like, I guess I can see how long I can do this, and then when it's really bad, they're going to see someone like a physio. Whereas they lift a deadlift wrong once, they're never ever going to touch this thing ever again.
Yeah, and
it's like...
And really interesting point is that one of the main things that has been proven to reduce injury risk in sport is lifting weight. Like in every sport, it's strength training. So I think that's like such a key point. It's like if people come at you with, injury risk is high from strength training, it's like actually strength training is the thing that reduces your injury risk for everything else. Yeah. I wanted to get into the next thing, which was just about personal trainers versus like EPs versus physios. And I don't mean versus in way against each other. I just mean public perception So as a physio, so my whole little niche at the minute is bone density stuff for older adults, because I've just sort of fallen into that because I'm a physio that loves lifting weights, and that's where things have ended up. My ideal client for that is ladies over 60 who have multiple health conditions, like, you know, they might have 2 knee replacements and a hip replacement, and they're awaiting their 4th joint replacement, and they might also have history of stroke or have had multiple sclerosis or whatever. They've got all these comorbidities and stuff, and they feel more comfortable coming to a physio. And I suppose for people like that, I do, you know, I feel like that's my kind of bread and butter sort of thing. Even on that though, I do think that for a lot of them, I could assess them and, you know, give some recommendations and then pass them on to like an EP or a strength coach. But I get people who are much healthier than that come and they go, oh, I want to train with a physio because you know more than a personal trainer or a strength coach. And I'm like, no, I don't. That's a really weird public perception. And I think most physios actually don't know anything about strength training. Just as a physio sitting here, like, strength coaches are the experts in exercise, especially barbell stuff, and like EPs as well. Physios, you might want to, if you have an injury or something and you're not sure, a physio should be there to diagnose the injury and then can provide, I mean, Kat has worked together with heaps of clients, provide a diagnosis and go, this is what it is, just do a bit more of this and a bit less of that, and then leave it in their hands.
Yeah. So I guess in that regard, it's like physios know more.
About
yes
injuries.
And no.
About
injuries.
And
it's really specific. Whereas I'm
right.
like, okay,
you know more about lifting weights. Program.
I like to believe so.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
I think the thing is too, like, you spend all day, every day doing it. That is huge.
Right.
And so that's a huge thing I noticed too as I started going on the gym floor far more.
I'm out there. I live there.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, even if you're a PT with 10 years experience, even if you started off as a dodgy one or whatever, if you've been doing it for 10 years, you've spent 30 hours a week, every week for 10 years, watching people move. And that I'm actually thinking that the trainer at my other gym that I work at, who's in his late 40s, who was an athlete, just watching him work, he's had every injury. He's had patients or clients with every injury. It's really kind of masterful the way he'll just work around. He doesn't try and diagnose it all. He doesn't try and give advice.
And he
just works around. But it works so well because, you know, someone's shoulder will hurt a bit and he'll be like, oh, well, what if we do it this way? And I'm thinking, you know, actually heaps of my job is just doing
adaptation. That. Yes, as a PT, I do trial and error.
Yeah.
So I will trial and error until I've reached my wit's end.
Yeah.
And then I definitely refer.
Yeah. Which you've done.
Whether that's
which is awesome.
Physio with you, EP, I've referred to psychologists before.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a psychologist.
Yeah.
I can't give you that advice.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I build up relationships that are really meaningful to me and to client.
Yeah.
But really, it's none of my business. So in a few moments where you're like, I should really not give you advice on this is my opinion, but please don't take it as gospel. Or dietitians, same thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, the amount of times where I'm
I do not go there.
Do not want to touch this subject because
no way.
I can tell you about the macro nutrients and what they do in your body. I'm not gonna go the length of prescribing someone anything apart from my programs.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask about one more thing. You have had clients who their physios told them not to lift weight?
Yes.
Or do Pilates?
Well, yes. I have heard that Pilates is better for you in terms of building strength. Look, I don't want to badmouth Pilates. It's good. If you love it and you want it in your routine in your week, do it. Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Get yourself a membership.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking badly about it because Pilates is crap.
Yeah.
No, it's because of this misconception that Pilates is going to make you strong.
Yeah.
If you are an untrained individual, you will find that in the first phase of your fitness journey, strength journey, it will make some changes to your core strength.
Definitely.
But it hits the ceiling because you can't increase the weight.
Yeah.
That is why strength training is so important, because it doesn't just stop at like, oh, my dumbbell tree only has 10 kilos, then I guess that's it.
I think I just would say if you're going to lift weights, find a physio that lifts weights, as in like if you're needing a physio, see one that does barbell lifts.
Yes,
Because if
please.
they don't, and I remember me when I didn't, I literally remember, and I cringed thinking about this, I remember telling a client who hurt his back kettlebell swing at the gym, I remember being like, oh, like, why would you do that? And like kind of be all like, that's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
So find one that does barbell lifts, because they're not going to tell you that barbell lifting is dangerous. And yeah, I guess I get the same problem with doctors, I suppose.
I know it's really biased, but it's
yeah.
vital. Don't take advice about something from
No.
someone who has not experienced that particular something.
Yeah, I love GPs, but I do find it frustrating if they give like specific dietary advice, because I'm like, wait a minute, there's dietitians. And if they give specific injury management advice, or if they tell you to stop doing a particular activity, I do get annoyed, because I'm like, no, there's actually a way around.
Yeah. You can adjust. How
Yeah.
about adjust? Don't drop it completely.
Yeah. So we can share that experience from different professionals. To sum up what we talked about today, so it's our main point is weightlifting is safe, and that it's really important, and that literally everyone should be doing it, especially women. If you're someone who's thinking about taking up strength training and you're female, a personal trainer or a strength coach is a completely fine person to start with.
Yeah.
If you're worried about an injury or something, consulting a physio who does strength training before you start is probably a good idea as well.
I agree.
I'm just going to do a little plug for your services then. So Kat works here at Below Parallel, and she does online training as well as group training as well as one-on-one.
Yes.
She can coach you towards powerlifting comp if you want. And if you do need physio advice, I also happen to work at Below Parallel.
And we talk to each other. This is a really cool thing. Because
That's
a lot
right.
of physios won't talk to me. She does.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much.